One of the biggest things we're being told is that CO2, carbon dioxide, is at extraordinarily high on levels. It's unusual and unprecedented. And it is true if you only look over the last 150, 200 years, that's true. Looking at it as I do as a geologist, I look into geologic time, and I find that our levels of carbon dioxide, which they're calling the demon molecule, I call it the miracle molecule, we look at the 420 parts per million we are today. It's 1/6 of what the average carbon dioxide levels are throughout Earth's history.
The temperature of the Earth for the past 4.5 billion years. That's a long time. And if you look on the lower right-hand side, one of those plots is carbon dioxide. That's the purple one. The blue one is the temperature. And notice the carbon dioxide, you see the little blip up on it. That's what we're so worried about right now, that the world is going to fall apart.
Okay, I'm learning the ppm, or parts per million measurement of CO2 is important to understand where we currently are in CO2 levels on Earth. We currently sit a little over 400 ppm, and it's currently being touted by many mainstream sources as a dangerous level. And it makes sense, according to the charts they use. We are at an alarming level of CO2 concentration when compared to the last 800,000 years or so. But compared to the total history of the Earth, it doesn't look near as ominous. So, that leaves us with the question, what is a dangerous level of CO2?
So OSHA sets levels of dangers, I believe, starting at 8,000 parts per million for human health. And our research at the CO2 Coalition and our agronomists tell us that we'll see major benefits of CO2 for plant growth. It'll probably peak around 1,200 parts per million, or 3 times what it is today. And it'll continue increasing and benefiting plant growth, continuing, but not as much. But the main benefits will be from 400, where we are now, to about 1,200 parts per million. What we see is actually the carbon dioxide levels in our atmosphere, rather than being at levels that are much too high, we're at actually historically low levels. In fact, they were dangerously low levels, and not that too long ago in geologic history. At the end of the last ice age, we know the carbon dioxide levels plummeted to near what I call the line of death. They got to 182 parts per million, and the line of death is at 150 parts per million. And why is that dangerous? Because below 150 parts per million, plant life cannot survive. We nearly got there. That would be a true climate catastrophe. The fact of the matter is, we need more CO2, not less. As we increase CO2, plants need less water to survive. And that's because they don't need to, if you will, breathe in and breathe out. It's called transpiration. And during that process, plants lose the water and require more water out of the soil. With more CO2, they don't have to do that. They're not losing as much water. And because of increasing carbon dioxide levels in the Earth's atmosphere, we're seeing just crop growth breaking records year after year. And by almost every metric we look at, ecosystems are thriving from the near polar regions to the equator. Vegetation is increasing and exploding. According to NASA satellite data, more than 50% of the Earth has an increase, they call it greening, it's an increase in vegetation. Less than 4% of the Earth's surface is what they call browning, or loss of vegetation. That's a pretty good trade-off. I'd take that any day of the week. And what we're seeing here, again, almost by every metric we look at, we see benefits to humanity.